Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through the NBA slate on Draftkings for today on Wednesday, November the 29th. We've got another mid-sized slate for today, 7 games. So as always guys, we are going to go game by game and give you a quick breakdown of this 7-game slate, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Tuesday night. But as always guys, before we do get started with the breakdown, if you guys do enjoy these DFS videos, and if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below, guys. I really do appreciate the likes. And as always, if you have not yet, hit that subscribe button as well. Be sure to go check out PrizePicks as well. PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. If you guys don't have an account over on PrizePicks, you can sign up for PrizePicks, linked down below in the description. Or just when you sign up, make sure to use promo code NOAH, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code. Now, for those of you that don't know what PrizePicks is, they are a player prop site, DFS site focused on player projections, and it's really simple, really easy to use. You're just picking more or less on a player's projection. You have to make at least 2 picks on PrizePicks, but you can make up to 6 picks. You can mix and match sports as well. It's a lot of fun. If you guys want to check them out, if you want to sign up, again, use that promo code NOAH, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code. But let's go ahead and talk through this slate for Wednesday night, and we'll start off with the first game of the night, the Wizards and the Magic. We'll start off on the Wizards side. So looking at the Wizards today, this is a spot that I think we should see them be able to keep this game competitive. The Wizards have been involved in a lot of blowouts this season, but when they do play in competitive games, you typically will see 30 plus minutes for Kyle Kuzma, for Jordan Poole, sometimes for Tyus Jones as well. Daniel Gafford's minutes have kind of been trending up lately. This isn't the best matchup. The Magic have been very good defensively this season, so I don't think this is like the greatest spot for these Wizards guys. But we know Kyle Kuzma has a big ceiling when he does get full minutes. Last game, 61 Draftkings points, played 35 minutes in what was a relatively competitive game against the Pistons. Kuzma always has a big ceiling. Jordan Poole's been really frustrating this season. He does have a ceiling, but he also does kind of have a lower floor. He's been shooting the ball very poorly this year. Minutes have kind of been volatile. On this slate, I'm fine passing on Jordan Poole. Denny Avdia and Tyus Jones at their price tags I'm not super interested in. And then Daniel Gafford, like I said, he has been playing more consistent minutes lately. And typically when he avoids foul trouble, I think we can expect him to play around 30 minutes, assuming the game is competitive. He would probably be my second favorite play on the Wizards behind Kuzma. I don't really like a ton of Wizards today, but I think those are the 2 guys I like most. Nothing else, though, really stands out here. And on the other side with Orlando, so Orlando is definitely a team I want to get some exposure to today. Really good matchup for these Orlando guys going up against the Wizards. Wizards play fast. They don't play any defense. I think it's a really, really good spot for Paolo Banchero. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I think at this price tag of $8,200, that is probably going to keep his ownership low in tournaments. I don't think many people are going to want to pay this price tag for Paolo. I don't think he's going to project super well at the salary. So if you want to go there in tournaments, I definitely think Paolo has a big ceiling in this matchup. I do like him quite a bit. I think Franz Wagner has a higher ceiling as well. He's typically not a high ceiling guy, but I think in this matchup, you definitely could see one of those games where Wagner puts up like 40, 45 Draftkings points. So I don't mind him. Cole Anthony has had a really big role off the bench. It's $6,700. He does feel priced about right. Like it's really hard to pay this price tag for Anthony when he's coming off the bench, but he's still been playing around 30 minutes a night, even coming off the bench. So I guess he's still playable, but he's probably one of my least favorite Magic guys. Jalen Suggs at 6K, again, going to start, probably play around 30 minutes. Feels priced about right, but the matchup's really good here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Suggs do well. And then Goga Bitadze has been playing, around like 24 to 28 minutes a night as the starting center for the Magic. Minutes can kind of be volatile for Goga, but I think most nights, as long as he avoids foul trouble and the game's competitive, he will play like mid-20s minutes. And this is a really good matchup. Centers have been able to do really well against the Wizards this season. So I do have some interest in Goga at that price tag of $5,300. The rest of the Orlando guys, though, I'll probably pass on. I think my favorite plays here are definitely Paolo, Franz Wagner, and Goga. The rest of the guys at their price tags I'm not as interested in. But I do like these Magic guys today in what is a very friendly matchup for them. But let's move on to the next game, the Lakers and the Pistons. So for the Lakers today, LeBron is listed as questionable, but he's been listed as questionable for the last, I want to say 5 or 6 games, and he's played. So I'm expecting LeBron to play here. And then Anthony Davis is probable, so he's expected to play. If we're choosing between LeBron or AD on this slate, I think I do prefer AD. I think AD just has a higher ceiling than LeBron. AD is also a guy that typically can exploit weak matchups, and I feel like this is weak defenses, I should say. The Pistons aren't the worst defensive team, but I definitely think this is a matchup Davis can have success in. And also, for whatever reason, I don't know why it is, but typically when AD has a bad game, he typically bounces back with a big game, and he did kind of have a disappointing game last game against the Sixers, even though it was a blowout. But you look at his game log this year, like you look when he has a bad game. Opening night against Denver, 36 DK points. The next night, 61. He had 24 and then 40, so not the greatest there, but then he did have 62. He had 25 against Sacramento, but then 51 against Portland. So I don't know why it is, but it seems like whenever AD struggles one night, he'll bounce back the next night. Maybe this is a bounce back spot for AD. If I had to play anyone on the Lakers today, I think he's my favorite play at 9,800. I don't like a ton of other Lakers, though, at their salaries. It's really just AD and LeBron, with AD being my favorite there. And then on the Detroit side, Cade Cunningham is going to have a huge role. He's been playing a ton of minutes this season. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. I think this matchup against the Lakers is definitely a fine matchup for Cade. The Lakers defense, I think, can be vulnerable against guards. So I think it is a pretty good spot here for Cade. And as long as this game does stay competitive, he'll probably play like 35, 36 minutes. He feels priced about right at 8,500, but I don't mind going to him on this slate. Jalen Duren definitely in a tougher spot against Anthony Davis. Also some foul trouble risk for Duren guarding Anthony Davis. But man, we've seen Jalen Duren be really productive on a point per minute basis this season. He's also been playing pretty big minutes, got up to 33 minutes last game. If he avoids foul trouble here, he probably will play like 34, 35 minutes. I know the matchup's not great, but Duren can really produce when he gets those big minutes. So he's playable at 6,900. And then Ausar Thompson, another guy that has a pretty big ceiling just because of how he can kind of do everything when he's on the floor. He's a guy that can score a little bit. He's a really good rebounder. He can get some assists. He can also get defensive stats. The minutes last game were down for Thompson, but I think that was just because of foul trouble. I'm pretty sure he did get into some foul trouble that game, which limited his minutes. As long as he's not in foul trouble, I think he'll probably play like 30-plus minutes. I'm assuming they're going to have him guard LeBron, which is definitely scary because that could lead to some foul trouble, but Ausar Thompson is a guy that does have a ceiling, just because of how he can stuff the stat sheet. Don't mind him at 6,500. And then Jaden Ivey, I do like as a value play. So Jaden Ivey has been starting lately, and I'm assuming he's going to continue to start. He's been playing pretty good minutes as a starter, and he's been relatively productive. His price tag is coming up, but honestly, it probably hasn't come up enough at 5,700. Like, I think he should probably be like 6K, 6,500. Like, I still think Ivey's a little too cheap here. He's probably my favorite play on the Pistons when you do factor in salary. So I do like Jaden Ivey quite a bit for, kind of as like a value today. That's really it, though, for the Pistons. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Phoenix and Toronto. So looking at the Suns today, big news to monitor here, Kevin Durant's status. Durant listed as questionable for this game. Obviously, if Durant doesn't play, that's going to open up a ton of usage and a ton of opportunity for a guy like Devin Booker. Devin Booker would have a huge role here if Durant were to be ruled out. Booker is priced kind of appropriately at 10,300. It's not like we're getting much of a discount on him, but I definitely think Booker would be in play today if Durant is out. If Durant plays, I'll probably pass on Booker at this salary. I really don't like much from Phoenix if we assume Durant is in. I think the only way I'd be considering guys like Booker and Nurkic and probably Eric Gordon would be if Durant got ruled out. And then if Durant did get ruled out, I'm assuming Keita Bates-Diop would start. Although I think he did start. I know he started Friday. I think he started the last time Durant was out. Didn't do great as a starter, but he's only 4,600. There's not much value on the slate right now. I think KBD would be a viable value play if he were to start for Durant. But that's probably it for Phoenix. I think this is a tough team to break down until we really get news on KD. And if we assume KD is playing, I don't like much here when you look at the price tags for these guys. Now on the other side with Toronto, Toronto's on the second night of a back-to-back. We'll have to monitor their injury report, but I think for now, it's pretty. We can assume that most of these Toronto guys are going to play. Toronto typically doesn't rest guys, looking at this Toronto team, not a matchup I love here against Phoenix. The price tags on these Toronto guys, none of them look great at their salaries. If I had to pick anyone to play here, I think my favorite play would probably be Scotty Barnes at 8,700. But man, I'm not super interested in many Toronto guys on this slate. The matchup for Jakob Poeltl is kind of interesting. Poeltl, he can be productive when he does get minutes. And I want to say Phoenix has been kind of vulnerable against centers this season. I want to say Phoenix is allowing a good amount of points in the paint. So this might not be the worst matchup for Poeltl, but the minutes are just so volatile for Poeltl. Some nights he'll play 25, some nights he'll play 30. You just never really know. He's always a viable tournament play because he has big-time upside, but the minutes are just so tough to predict for a guy like Poeltl. it's a tough team to want to get much exposure to. Not a ton of interest for me on this Toronto team. So let's move on to the next game, Utah and Memphis. So for Utah today, this is a team I think we're probably going to want to get some exposure to. So Lauri Markkanen has already been ruled out for this game, and Jordan Clarkson is questionable. So this is kind of big news. If Jordan Clarkson does not play, I'm assuming they would start Chris Dunn in place of Clarkson. Last time Clarkson was out, they did start Chris Dunn. Now, he didn't really do much as a starter, played just 19 minutes, had just 17 Draftkings points. His price tag did come up to $4,300, so even if he starts again, I don't think I'd be super interested in Chris Dunn, but you probably would see some more minutes for Colin Sexton and THT as well. I think these guys would become viable in a scenario where Clarkson got ruled out, but I would only be considering them if there were to be no Clarkson. I think Keontae George is locked into a pretty good role here, whether Clarkson plays or not. I mean, last game, 31 minutes. The game before that, 27 minutes. He's typically played around 30 minutes a night, and some nights he'll play even more than that. He's a young rookie. He's a guy they want to get looks at. Like they probably should be playing him decent minutes right now. I don't know if he would play in a blowout. I don't think this game would blow out. I mean, Memphis has just not been good this year, so I think this game probably will stay competitive. But yeah, I think Keontae George's minutes are very secure here. At 6,100, he's probably my favorite play on the Jazz right now. But if Jordan Clarkson plays, I think he'll have a bigger role without Lauri Markkanen. He'd be playable at 7,600, but that price tag does feel about right. John Collins at 6,800, I'll probably pass on. I think at that salary, he's not super interesting to me, even without Markkanen. I don't know if Collins gets like the biggest, if he even really gets much of a boost without Markkanen. And I do want to talk about Walker Kessler. So Walker Kessler has been coming off the bench lately, but he did get up to 26 minutes last game, even off the bench. I don't know if they're going to bring him off the bench again or if they're finally going to move him into the starting lineup. They have been starting Omer Yurtseven lately at center, and he's been playing 20 minutes. I'd assume this is finally the night that they put Kessler back in the starting lineup and he plays 30 minutes. And if we're going to get 30 minutes from Walker Kessler, I mean, Walker Kessler can really produce when he gets minutes. We've seen that the last two games. 21 minutes, 26 minutes, 30, 32 Draftkings points. At 5,900, I do have quite a bit of interest in Kessler today, but I want to make sure that he would be, make sure he's in the starting lineup first. If he comes off the bench again, that probably means they're going to limit his minutes to the mid-20s, which isn't going to make him nearly as interesting. I think that's it for Utah. I guess the last guy I'll mention is Simone Fontecchio. He should start here in place of Markkanen, should play around 30 minutes. His price tags come up to 4,600, so I don't think he's this great value play, but I think he's viable at least. Again, there's not a ton of value on the slate right now, so I think Fontecchio is playable. But that's it for that game. Let's move on, let's talk about the other side of that game now with Memphis. And Memphis continues to be shorthanded. No Marcus Smart, no Xavier Tillman, no Luke Kennard. Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., those are going to be the two guys that really do a lot of the, dominate the usage, take a lot of the shots in this offense. Bane has kind of been underwhelming lately, but this feels like a good get-right spot for Bane going up against the Jazz, who are a pretty bad defensive team and a team you can definitely beat with guards. I want to say Bane did really well against the Jazz earlier this year. Yeah, he had 62 Draftkings points against them in their last matchup, so I do like Desmond Bane quite a bit today. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is in play as well. Triple J's kind of been underwhelming this season, especially even without Ja, but we know Triple J has a ceiling. He will play big minutes as long as he avoids foul trouble. That's always the big if, but if we do get no foul trouble for Triple J, he should play 35, 36 minutes. He's typically a good producer when he's on the floor. I like playing Triple J a little bit more on sites like FanDuel and Yahoo, where you get 3 points for blocks and steals. But even on DraftKings, I think you can still consider Triple J today. And the Santi Aldama has been starting lately, and he's been relatively productive as a starter. Only got 27 minutes the last game, but I think most nights we can expect over 30 minutes from Aldama. They just don't really have, Memphis doesn't have a ton of guys that they're getting production from right now, and Aldama is at least giving them production when he's on the floor. So I think his minutes are pretty secure here, and I think at 6,400 he is still in play for me at this salary. And then Bismack Biyombo at 5,200 should continue to play 30 minutes a night. I mean, Bismack is never a super high upside guy, but he's relatively cheap. He should be locked in for 30 minutes. I think the matchup's fine against Utah. I have no issue going to Bismack today as a cheaper center option. And then I'm pretty sure Jacob Gilyard started last game. Didn't really result in him doing much, and he hasn't really done much yet lately as a starter anyway. So even if he continues to start, I'd be fine kind of passing on him. But I definitely like Bane, definitely like Triple J, and I think Aldama and Biyombo are both in play for Memphis as well. That's probably it, though, for the Grizzlies. Not much interest in anyone else here. Let's talk about the next game, the Sixers and the Pelicans. So for the Sixers today, If we're looking at the Sixers today, I think the one guy that you probably want to get some exposure to is Joel Embiid. Now, it is going to be tough to play Embiid on this slate unless some value opens up, because right now there's just not much value, and Embiid is really expensive at 11,800. But man, Embiid has just been so good this season. He's dominating usage. He is stuffing the stat sheet. He's assisting a ton this year. He's averaging over 6.5 assists per game. He had a triple-double last game. Like, Embiid looks like the early favorite for MVP. It's really close between him and Jokic once again. I think Embiid's a great play. It's just a matter of if you're going to be able to fit him in. It's going to come down to what kind of value we get on this slate, if any. Right now, there's not much value. The rest of the Sixers, though, like, I don't really like the rest of these guys. I mean, these guys all feel priced where they should be. Maxey over 9K, Harris almost 7K, Melton's over 6K. I think for me, when it comes to the Sixers, it's probably Embiid. That's probably it, I think. So let's talk about the Pelicans now. And looking at the Pelicans here, we do have to talk about CJ McCollum. So McCollum did participate in shoot-around, or he will participate in shoot-around on Wednesday, and he could make his return back to the lineup for this game. So if CJ McCollum does come back for this game, that's going to hurt Brandon Ingram. It's going to hurt Zion. It's going to hurt Dyson Daniels and Jordan Hawkins. Like, pretty much everyone on the Pelicans is going to be overpriced here if McCollum comes back. Even if McCollum remains out, like, I don't like these Pelicans a ton. I mean, both Ingram and Zion are 9K and above. J-Val's 7K in a scary spot against Embiid. Herb Jones is almost 6K. Like, the pricing, I will say, the pricing on this slate is really tough. Like, DraftKings, I feel like everyone is just so expensive. I don't like many of these Pelicans here, especially if CJ comes back. And even if CJ remains out, I think these guys are all priced a little bit overpriced. Like, right now, there's just not much that stands out on this Pelicans team. So I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Houston and Denver. So Houston, they're on a back-to-back today. We'll have to see, monitor their injury report, see if anyone rests here. I don't think that would happen. For Houston, we got Alperen Şengün as the most expensive option at 8,500. Look, I'm a big fan of Şengün. Love what Şengün's been doing this season. He's been crushing every night, and this might seem like a scary matchup against Jokic if Jokic plays, but Şengün's done really well against Denver this season, had 56 DraftKings points in their last meeting against Denver. Earlier this season, put up 45 DK points against them. Şengün's been playing big minutes this year. Roll's been great. He's been stuffing the stat sheet. I like him quite a bit at 8,500. If Nikola Jokic doesn't play today, he's questionable. If Jokic doesn't play, I like Şengün even more because I think the matchup gets even better for Şengün. So I'm interested in Şengün regardless. I think Fred VanVleet is okay at 8,300, but I think you do get a little bit of a higher ceiling from Şengün. And then Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, and Dylan Brooks, they all feel priced about right. None of them look super appealing to me. The rest of the Rockets, I don't really like. So let's talk about the other side of this game now with Denver. And man, Denver's kind of a tough team to break down right now because they have a lot of questionable tags. Jokic is questionable. Jamal Murray's questionable, so he can maybe make his return today. And then Aaron Gordon is questionable as well. I'm assuming all these guys play. I'm assuming Jokic plays today. I'm assuming Jamal Murray comes back. And I'm assuming Aaron Gordon plays as well. And if that's the case, I have no interest in any Denver guys today except for Jokic. Obviously, Jokic is someone that we can play almost every slate. But as I said earlier, this is a slate with little value right now. It's going to be really tough to pay almost 13K for Jokic unless we get some value opening up. If you play Jokic today, you're going to be forced to play some guys that you probably don't want to play. So that's the only negative with Jokic, but man, Jokic has a massive ceiling. Obviously, if Jamal Murray comes back, that definitely hurts Jokic a little bit. That hurts his ceiling, but I think Jokic would still be playable. But right now, I'm fine just kind of fading Denver unless Jokic and Murray and Gordon are all out. And then if that's the case, if Jokic, Murray, and Gordon are all out, then we can look to guys like Reggie Jackson, MPJ. I think DeAndre Jordan would be in play. I mean, DeAndre Jordan last game without Jokic was actually amazing. 21 points, 13 rebounds, 51 DraftKings points for DeAndre Jordan last game. Played 34 minutes. I think that's probably the literal peak ceiling for DeAndre Jordan at this point in his career, but he would definitely be in play for value here at 4,400 if Jokic were to be out again. Again, I think Jokic plays today, but we'll have to see. Not much stands out on Denver here. Definitely a team I'm just kind of fine avoiding on the slate, assuming everyone winds up playing. Let's go ahead and talk about the last game of the night, though, guys, before we wrap up this video. So Clippers and Kings. We'll start off on the Clippers side. So for the Clippers today, I think it's just a pretty decent matchup going up against Sacramento, a team that does play fast. Defensively, they're not the greatest team. If we're looking at the Clippers guys here, I think my favorite play is probably Kawhi at 8K. Just when you're looking at the price tags of like him, PG, and Harden, I think Kawhi's the guy that I like most. Kawhi did finally pop off for a big ceiling game last game against Denver, played 39 minutes, had 51 DraftKings points. Kawhi has definitely taken a step back since James Harden arrived, and really, if you look at the games he's played with Harden, they've been pretty bad for Kawhi. I think Kawhi's definitely taken the biggest hit, but he looked good last game. Finally broke out for a big ceiling game. The price tag of 8K is not super expensive for Kawhi, so I'm fine with Kawhi at 8K. Zubac did have a big game last game against Denver. Going up against a Jokic-less Denver team, 32 minutes, 45 DraftKings points. I would temper expectations though on Zubac. You just never really know how many minutes he's going to play. He always has a big ceiling if he gets the minutes, but you never know if tonight's going to be the night he plays 32 minutes again. I doubt it. So, for me, when it comes to this Clippers team, I think I like Kawhi the most here, and that's probably it. And on the other side was Sacramento. So Sacramento is also on the second night of a back-to-back. We'll have to monitor their injury report. Again, I think we can expect most of these guys to play. We'll have to monitor the status of Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray was doubtful for Tuesday's game, didn't play. I'm guessing on a back-to-back, he'll probably sit out again. I don't like much on the Kings here. Sabonis and Fox, I think, are always fine. But on this slate, at their price tags, I don't think either one of them look super appealing today. And then the rest of these guys like Herter and Monk and Harrison Barnes, none of them look great at their salaries either. Especially if Keegan Murray comes back, I would pretty much be off those guys. I don't like much on the Kings here. Honestly, I don't like much in this game, but I think if I had to play anyone overall in this game, I think Kawhi is probably my favorite play, when you factor in price tag. But that'll do it, guys, for this 7-game slate for Wednesday night. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, appreciate you watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you guys don't have an account over on PrizePicks, we do have a partnership with PrizePicks. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks, linked down below in the description. Or when you sign up, make sure to use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code. But that's all that I got for tonight, guys. Good luck on the slate. Appreciate you guys watching the video as always. We'll see you in the next one. Best of luck tonight, guys. And take care. Peace.